The 7th of August 1942, 6:13 a.m. The gray pre-dawn haze over the Solomon Islands erupts with the flashes of hundreds of guns. American cruisers and destroyers open a preparatory bombardment along Guadalcanal's shores. The first time in the war, the U.S. has gone on the offensive against Japan. The operation is codenamed Watchtower. In the landing craft, Marines of the 1st Marine Division crouch tight against the metal sides. For many, it's their first combat. The sea heaves. The smell of diesel and sweat mixes with the smoke of naval gunfire. The wind carries the heavy, humid scent of the tropics, sweet and nauseating at once. When the boats grind onto the sand at Lunga Point, a new phase of the war begins. Marines jump into waist-deep water, hauling out machine guns, ammo crates, radios. No one shoots. Japanese forces building the airstrip have fallen back into the jungle, leaving equipment and a half-finished runway. But the quiet deceives. Reconnaissance planes circle above the palms, and armed patrols lurk in the island's interior. Division Commander Major General Alexander Vandegrift steps ashore and surveys the ground. Before him lies an island 90 miles long and 25 wide, covered in mountains and rainforest. It's no paradise, but a massive trap. Heat, disease, swamp rot, and an unseen enemy. Within the first day, 100 men are out of action, heat stroke, fever, dehydration. The Americans realize quickly, without an airfield, they can't hold. On the site of the Japanese strip, they build a new runway and name it Henderson Field, for Major Lofton Henderson, a Marine aviator killed at Midway. Work goes on around the clock, through downpours and enemy air raids. Every yard of soil is moved by hand. Vehicles bog down. Fuel runs short. By the night of August 8, the strip is usable. In the misty glare of work lights, the first Wildcats and Dauntlesses touch down. Thus is born the Cactus Air Force, a small group that will hold the island's skies for the next 6 months. The Marines understand they're cut off. The fleet has withdrawn South Ocean ahead, jungle and an invisible foe behind. They dig in on the sand, camouflage guns under palms, string wire. Over the radio, Vandegrift signals higher headquarters. We're established. The airfield is ours. We will hold the island at any cost. Night falls on Guadalcanal. From the jungle come the cries of birds, but Marines swear they hear human voices among them. Thus begins the first American ground battle against Japan, and the first tropical war where the enemy will also be the land itself. The 8th of August 1942. It's the second day the Americans hold the Lunga Point beachhead. Work rages ashore, building the airfield, digging foxholes, hauling ammunition. But hundreds of kilometers to the north, beyond the horizon, death is already on its way. From the east, a Japanese task force approaches the fleet of Vice Admiral Gunichi Mikawa, 7 cruisers and 1 destroyer. Their mission: slip through at night and annihilate the unprotected Allied transports and escorts. American command does not expect an attack. Reconnaissance misses Mikawa's approach, and the night watch is lax. Many radio operators power down to save batteries. At anchor off Savo Island lie the heavy cruisers USS Quincy, USS Vincennes, USS Astoria, and the British HMS Canberra. Crews rest. Some men are ashore. 23 Japanese ships enter the channel darkened, running at high speed under cover of night. Admiral Mikawa personally directs the attack. When the range closes to 4,000 yards, he orders, "Switch on searchlights, open fire." Night tears open with light. Tracers crisscross the sky, gun flashes blind the darkness. In the first 5 minutes, the Japanese unleash hundreds of shells and torpedoes. Hit after hit, American ships flare like candles. Astoria takes a direct hit to the magazine flame, spears 100 meters high. Quincy and Vincennes sink within 20 minutes of the battle's start. Hundreds die on their decks. Many never reach their guns. HMS Canberra burns. Her crew abandons ship. On the water, hundreds of men. The sea is afire. Kerosene slicks burn, life rings smolder. One survivor, Seaman Edward Reed, later says, "The ocean was brighter than day. Everything burned, and I knew we had lost this night." By dawn on August 9, the fight is over. The Japanese withdraw, sinking no transports but inflicting the worst defeat in U.S. Navy history. Over 1,000 sailors are dead, dozens wounded. The ships left as smoking carcasses. Marines ashore learn of it at sunrise. The anchorage is ash and wreckage. Most food and fuel were never unloaded. Vandegrift understands his division is now cut off. No supply, no fleet, limited ammunition and food for perhaps 2 weeks. From this day, the battle for Guadalcanal falls into a new rhythm. Daytime American air supremacy, nighttime Japanese sea control. This cycle, day and night of death, will last nearly 6 months. When night returns, Marines douse lights and wait. From beyond the horizon comes a growing hum, the Japanese ships again. Gunfire rolls from the sea. Whispers drift from the jungle. Every Marine on Guadalcanal feels, for the first time, here, no one is safe. The 18th of August 1942. At dawn, with a bluish haze still hanging over the sea, 6 Japanese destroyers creep to Taivu Point on Guadalcanal's east coast. A first echelon of the 28th Infantry Regiment debarks 917 men under Colonel Kiyonao Ichiki. Imperial headquarters believes the Americans are merely soft soldiers without spirit. Ichiki is ordered to await the rest of his regiment. He refuses. Pride will not tolerate caution. Americans are game, not foes, he writes. The Japanese slip ashore silently. Faces are smeared with soot. Packs hold 3 days' rations and about 120 rounds. They move west toward the Ilu River through jungle air like steam. The Americans are not asleep. A patrol under Captain Charles Brush bumps a Japanese scouting party. A brief, vicious firefight. 31 Japanese dead. Captured documents reveal a battalion-sized force is closing. Vandegrift orders immediate fortification. At the Ilu's mouth, Marines dig trenches, emplace machine guns, and register artillery. The ground is perfect for defense. River, sandbar, thick flanking growth. The night before the battle is unnervingly quiet. Marines hear cicadas and the rustle of leaves in the dark. One writes, "It feels like the land itself knows death will come here tomorrow." Night of August 2021. On the banks of the Ilu, which the Marines will misname the Tenaru, one of the campaign's bloodiest episodes begins. Confident of victory, Ichiki forms his assault lines. "We attack head-on as taught," he shouts. In that army, defeat is impossible, only victory or death. At one, the dark explodes with cries. Over 700 soldiers charge across the sandbar, expecting trembling Americans beyond. But the Marines are waiting. Along the shore sit Browning M1917, a 1 heavy machine guns, old water-cooled brutes, 2 per sector. They open up. In seconds, the sandbar becomes hell. Bullets rip bodies. Water boils with tracers. Japanese fall, rise, run again. Those behind step on the dead. Americans fire methodically, without shouting, barely moving. By dawn, the bar is carpeted with corpses. But the fight isn't done. Ichiki throws a second wave. It dies under 37mm guns firing canister. As the sun lifts over the coconuts, Vandegrift orders a counterattack. 5 M3 Stuart tanks roll the sand, flushing survivors. By noon, it's over. Of 917, only about 120 live. The rest lie on the sand or in water turned red. A later Japanese staff report calls it a defeat born of overvalued spirit and undervalued enemy. For Americans, it's the first land victory over Japan. For the Japanese, it's the first crack in the myth of invincibility. After the Tenaru disaster, the Japanese changed tactics. By day, the sea belongs to American aircraft from Henderson Field, which strike anything that moves. So Japan supplies at night. Fast destroyers sprint from the Shortland Islands to Guadalcanal, offloading men and supplies. The Americans dub it the Tokyo Express. Between August 29 and September 4, nearly 5,000 troops of Major General Kiyotake Kawaguchi's 35th Brigade reach the island. But what decides wars does not arrive. Heavy guns, tanks, trucks, food. Destroyers cannot carry big artillery or fuel tanks. What comes ashore are sacks of rice, rifle ammo, and letters from home. Kawaguchi's soldiers slog knee-deep in mud, shouldering crates. Rain lasts for weeks. Clothes never dry. Rations thin out. Men sleep under leaves, eat green bananas, snare snakes. Their faces show exhaustion and despair. Letters home whisper for the first time, "We are weakening. We are hungry." The Americans, by contrast, receive supplies in daylight. Aircraft bring ammunition, medicine, food. Their positions strengthen. The struggle becomes a war, not only of men, but of logistic systems. Japan begins to lose to supply. The 12th of September, 1942. A ridge 3 kilometers from the airfield looks quiet, too quiet. Recon says the Japanese are coming. Lieutenant Colonel Merritt Edson, commander of the raiders, prepares the defense. His 840 men occupy a narrow coral spine, grown with grass and scattered palms. On both flanks, deep ravines brim with shadow and wet air. Evening brings rain. Wind drives leaves. At 21, whispers in the dark then. A shout. Thousands of Japanese attack. Artillery tears the sky. Machine guns chatter non-stop. Edson's men fight with knives and bayonets, beating back wave after wave. Sergeant John Basilone stands out. He holds a machine gun sector where the enemy hurls themselves again and again. When his crew falls, he fights on alone, dragging ammo boxes under fire. Bullets shriek. Metal glows, but he doesn't yield. He will later receive the Medal of Honor. On the night of the 13th, the Japanese nearly break through. Edson himself grabs a carbine, firing, rallying his men. "They'll pass only over our bodies," he shouts. At dawn, the assault ebbs, but the next night, it returns. By first light, on September 14, the fight is over. The slopes hold 850 Japanese dead officers, NCOs, signalers among them. The Marines lose 300 but keep the line. The place will be known forever as Bloody Ridge. The Americans prove they can not only attack, but endure hell. September turns to October. The fight with the enemy becomes a fight with nature. Guadalcanal's tropics kill without firing a shot. Malaria, dysentery, tropical ulcers, fungal rot. Americans suffer, but they have doctors, drugs, hospital tents. The Japanese live in hell. Anti-malarials are gone. Food is precious. One rice ball must last a day. Japanese medical reports read, over 60% of forces incapacitated. 50 men die daily of starvation and disease. Bodies lie in swamps with no one to bury them. Men stumble on rotting feet. Teeth fall out. Skin peels in strips. Those who cannot walk are handed a grenade and left behind. Americans suffer too. Of Vandegrift's 11,000, 8,000 contract malaria. But they are still supplied. They get canned rations, medicine, ammunition. The Japanese live on bark, grubs, lizards. The jungle becomes a giant meat grinder, where the enemy is the land itself. October 23. Major General Yumio Nasu receives the order to take Henderson Field. It is Japan's last hope. In the south, 5,600 soldiers assemble. In the west, 9 tanks rear. In the jungle prepare. Night brings the assault. The first tanks ford the Tenaru River and run straight into American anti-tank fire. One by one they burn, becoming blazing hulks. In the south, Nasu's infantry slams into the defenses of Louis Chesty Puller, the legendary Marine commander. The battle rages all night. Japanese attack in waves. Americans answer with hurricane fire. Machine gunner John Basilone is pivotal once more. When ammo runs low, he sprints through fire to resupply. When a tripod breaks, he fixes it with his bare hands. By dawn on October 25, the assault has drowned in blood. Of 5,600 Japanese, about a third survive. General Nasu is dead. The American line stands, and with it, all Guadalcanal. November. At sea, the island's fate is sealed. From November 1215, the naval Battle of Guadalcanal rages, one of the fiercest in naval history. Japan sends a force to bombard Henderson Field and land more troops. America throws in everything it has. The fighting is nocturnal. At knife fight ranges, ships duel almost point blank. Guns fire flat and fast. In the darkness, Atlanta and Juneau go down. Other losses mount. Admirals Daniel Callahan and Norman Scott are killed. But Japan loses the battleship Kirishima, smashed by USS Washington. In the end, the Japanese troop convoy is destroyed by aircraft and artillery. Of 11 transports, only 4 reach shore, and they burn out under morning bombs. Thousands of bodies litter the sand. The coastal sea is black with oil. After this battle, Japan can no longer send major forces to Guadalcanal. The initiative passes conclusively to the United States. The Japanese staff at Rabaul understands it's over. In December, a secret order arrives: evacuate. The operation is codenamed KE. From February 17, destroyers extract 10,652 survivors. Of the 36,000 who served on Guadalcanal, over 25,000 are dead, many not by bullets, but by hunger, disease, and despair. American losses total about 1,600 KIA and 4,200 WIA, terrible numbers. But for the US, it marks the beginning of a new phase. Guadalcanal becomes Japan's first land defeat and a turning point of the war. The myth of the invincible samurai dissolves. Japanese officers now understand. Spirit cannot replace logistics. Courage cannot beat air power. Those who survived the campaign recall. On Guadalcanal, we learned we weren't losing in heart, we were losing in steel. The island remains a scorched scar. Rusting aircraft, sunken ships, machetes in the jungle. But here the world understood that America would not only defend, it would win.